Alrighty, welcome back. Another episode of Post-Fades Cheesesteaks, hot off the heels of week one of the NFL season. Great to be back with football again, fall season, September, all the good things coming along. Um, just me and Tim doing our weekly recaps as we will be the rest of the season. So make sure you all, like, subscribe, all that. I never talk about it, but it helps. Keep us floating. So
There you go.
try to support
Shameless
us if you
plug. You
can.
got to love it.
Yeah. But what do you think of I mean we're gonna obviously go through, I guess we might as well start with the birds. Eagles played on Friday in Brazil and came out with a
Hmm.
W. It was a little rough at times, but a win's a win.
Looked very much like a week one game.
Yeah, a lot of these, I mean, the Bengals lost to the Patriots. Like there's a lot of week one hoopla, which we'll get into, but yeah, starting off, what were your initial thoughts on the Eagles game?
I mean, I thought they looked really sloppy, but I also thought if you take away like four plays, that's probably a blowout. Like I mean, the first two, like perfect way to sum up the game. The first two drives, they have a turnover, which really should have put them down by quite a bit.
They,
Somehow
they should have been down
they
like
had a
21
lead.
nothing.
Oh yeah, but somehow they left the first quarter after turning the ball over their first two drives with the lead.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. I mean, the defense I thought played really well, minus like a few big plays. One of them, Gardner Johnson, looked like he just blew the assignment. Didn't really
The,
know what he was doing, but
yeah, a little bit of the running game was a bit concerning, but beyond that, I mean, Jordan Love was pretty much kept in check. I mean, he didn't really do anything crazy.
the Packers looked like the better. Or, no, I'm sorry, the Eagles looked like the better team the entire game. The plays that the Packers were making, I thought was more of just blatant mistakes on our part.
Yeah.
Biggest concern, Hurts decision making was very concerning. I mean, the interception in the end zone was a terrible decision. Nearly got picked off. Probably should have got picked off on that
Yeah.
game-winning
When he
drive.
when
That
he did
like,
that rollout, I like had a bad feeling in my gut, and I was just like, please just don't throw an interception.
can I like just paint you the picture this way? Like, I thought all in all the team did really well. AJ Brown and Barkley obviously were studs. The defense held their own.
Yeah.
If that ball was picked off on that last drive and AJ Brown doesn't break it up, the criticism I think is just 100% on Hurts because I really thought like besides the big plays he made with his legs at the end of the game to win it with that drive, I thought, you know what, we're going to win this game. Besides Jalen Hurts, like putting him to the side, like we are going to overcome his mistakes and win this. Like he has not helped us in any way put this together. I really thought he looked pretty rough in a couple aspects. Um, but I mean, all in all, like I mean, AJ Brown and Saquon Barkley made big elite plays. The line looked a little shaky here and there, but I'm not really worried about that. And I thought the defense played really well, all in all. You know, you got
Yeah.
some good performances. Blankenship looked good. Zach Baum didn't see that one coming, but he looked
Yeah.
really good. Some of the best linebacker play I've seen in the Eagles in a long time.
They were flying
I
around.
thought Mitchell played well, minus a couple rookie mistakes he made.
He looked great.
Yeah, I thought I did like to see him. Would like to see a little bit more from Bryce Huff. I didn't even know he was playing. I completely forgot about him. Nolan Smith
Yeah.
again. I saw Nolan Smith a little bit.
I
Bryce
I
Huff, I didn't
liked
even know he was on the field.
I liked what I saw more out of Nolan Smith than I did Bryce Huff. I'll say that much.
That's because you didn't see anything from Bryce Huff. If you told me he didn't play, I would have believed you.
I saw him on the floor because he kept slipping. He couldn't get his footing down. And Nolan Smith
Yeah,
was
that
in the
was a joke.
backfield quite a lot. I was happy with his play. He wasn't getting home, but I feel like he was getting pressure. Um, but I liked the defense. I mean, I think you see the effect that Vic Fangio has as a coach because they were so much more aggressive. They blitzed a
Oh
lot
yeah.
more. They looked like they were flying to the ball with like urgency on every play. Like there were multiple players flying. There's maybe one play where like people were standing around, but besides that, everyone was hawking to the ball. Um,
I think the most optimistic thing was my biggest concern. We talked this, Ty Hell was the coordinators from last year, and this game looks so much different. Like every game in that 10 win streak, we've said like they just looked like they were lucky, and nothing had ever changed. They had explosive plays
I
on
mean,
offense.
that's what this game
That
looked like.
they were explosive plays on offense. There was creativity there. The defense looked like they actually had a game plan and could make stops. Like
Yeah.
it didn't just look like, they were good. They got lucky because the offense of the opposing team made a mistake or, anything like that. I wouldn't say the Packers played great. They had their own mistakes, but again, take four plays out of that. Most of them being Jalen Hurts' bad decisions,
Hmm.
and that game's a blowout. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
I think there's more positive than
and
negative to take
I
away from that.
I think the Packers are a playoff team, and I think
Same.
Jordan Love is going to be a solid starter in the league. So I don't want to take anything away from them, but I feel like watching the game, it was more of like the Eagles making mistakes was keeping this game close. Like their mistakes on defense as far as like literally being unable to stop the run at all. Like that second half, they were like AJ or not AJ Dillon. Josh Jacobs had like 10 carries for like 20 yards and then all of a sudden broke out for like 60 plus yards because they just couldn't stop anything and they were getting gashed. But I feel like in the past game, besides like a couple of big plays, they were pretty good. I was super happy with Quinion. I thought wasn't too happy with all the chatter he was doing. But I know he did a lot of
And
chatter in Toledo.
hey, man, do it up. I did see was it Blankenship pulling him away when he was in the end
Yeah.
zone.
But
Hey, man, as long as you're not getting a penalty, I like it. Have some courage and some confidence there, young guy.
I don't think it was a third down. I think it was like a second down throw. But he made a great diving pass breakup on one. Like it was like an out route, and he came back and dove in just in time to break it up. And I was like, okay, this is what I like to see out of my cornerbacks. So pretty happy with him. I was confused because I went to Nick's house and we were watching it together, and I thought Isaiah Rogers was going to be like it sounded like he was going to be the starter, and then so Keely Ringo was going to play outside because Rogers wasn't. And then I saw Quinion, and I was like, I guess Quinion starting. So apparently Quinion was supposed to start all along, no matter what. Um,
Hmm.
Pretty bold to start a rookie when you have some because I like Keely. But if Fangio thinks that Quinion's better and ready, I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign for Ringo,
I
but
mean, he was like what, the number one cornerback taken in the draft? I mean, play him. I mean,
I can't remember if he was the first or the second cornerback taken, but I think it was the second. I can't remember who went before him, but I was super happy with the defense. Yeah, Zach Ball looked pretty damn good. I think he's a solidified starter. I was saying to Nick, I would still. N'Kobe had some good spots. He obviously dropped a very brutal would-be pick six. Um, that could have changed the whole game. Um, and then I thought he looked like he wasn't getting much push when he would blitz. It looks like he was kind of getting stood up. So I was kind of not too pleased with that. But again, for week one, players are getting adjusted
yeah.
to the new
I
scheme. But
think, I mean, there was enough good to make you think that this wasn't like a just smoke and mirror show like it was last year.
yeah,
Like,
I
if you look
mean,
around the league, I mean, no one looked great the week one. No
no,
one does really, aside from a few teams. But look at,
a lot of
listen,
fakers.
playoff teams in the NFC. Buccaneers, they won. The Lions, they won.
Hmm.
The Seahawks, I think, are going to be in the playoffs. They won. The Cowboys won. These are teams that you're probably going to be competing with towards the end of the season.
And
And, you couldn't afford to drop an early one because everyone else won for the most part. So take your win. I'm happy. Week one, Blues definitely were there. My biggest concern is just the decision making on Hurts. He needs to clean that up because those timely turnovers will come back to bite you.
yeah, last thought on the defense. I think CJ is gonna settle in. He was a little all over the place, missing some tackles and over pursuing and out of coverage. But once he gets used to the scheme, like I said, all these players will kind of slowly get used to their roles. Um, but I still really want to see Devin White and I want to see him start. I don't think I saw enough out of Nakobe out of one game, and I would rather see. I think Devin's better, but we'll see how
I
that
mean, I think
goes.
that's still the plan, especially considering how Zach Bond was. One thing I
Yeah,
wanted to get your mind. So the NFL is obviously going to keep going international. And I remember seeing things that
I
this
don't
is
know.
going to
That field
be,
was horrible.
oh, that's what I mean. Like it was ridiculous to watch everyone just falling over on each other. Do you think we'd ever see a situation? Because I think ultimately the NFL goes to every Sunday there's going to be an international game, and they would just have a 9 o'clock window, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and then the night game.
The
Do you think the
NFL
NFL
live
would
from
ever
Iraq.
like? Do you think they would ever take the Olympic approach? I was watching, I was like, dude, they should just build their own stadiums. Like, this is ridiculous. They like if
No.
you're gonna, I mean, why not? They have so much money. The Olympics built entire towns. If the
Yeah, but
Eagles are,
that's
or I'm saying, if the NFL's going there once a week, once a year at least, put one in London, put one in, I don't know, Paris or whatever they want to go to. I don't know if anyone wants to ever go back to Brazil, but if you're gonna play a game in Brazil
it
every year,
it depends because you have to consider, well, when the football season is going on, how are those venues using that space? Are they for concerts? Are they for
I mean,
special
what do they
events?
use
Is
the link for?
fucking the monster truck gonna be there? Like
I
uh
mean, they use the link on in the off
WrestleMania.
season. I'm sure they can find ways to fill it.
Yeah, but it's not as practical. The Olympics is like those venues are being used almost 24/7, right? For like 3 weeks. And
Yeah,
then
and then they never
they
used
turn them,
again. They turned into
yeah,
a ghost town.
sometimes they turn to resorts or whatever, but yeah, a lot of times they get
Not really. Do you want to go? You should go to London Olympic Village with me. It's the desolate ghost town.
but um but yeah, that's it on the defense because we didn't even talk about the offense. But before we get into the positives, I will say I liked the Kellen Moore's offense was more creative. It spread the field more, got the running back involved, tight end involved. But man, I was screaming at the TV. If I see another 2nd and 2 and I see spread offense with no running back in the backfield, I'm gonna scream. Like it's such a simple thing. You have a bruiser in Saquon Barkley. You have a decent backup who could start on some teams in Kenny G. Just run the damn ball. You have Jalen Hurts. Run the damn ball on 2nd and 2. I don't need you to get fancy and say, "Oh, the defense isn't going to see this coming." No, just run. It's
Well, I mean,
fundamentals. Just
I
run the ball.
I think I like the aggressive. I'll take the opposite approach to that. I like doing that on 2nd and 2.
No.
Hate it on 3rd and 2. But listen, if you have the confidence you can convert this 3rd and 2 because you got that power back like Barkley, the good line you were just talking about, why not take a shot on 2nd and 2, knowing you can pick this up on third down? I like. I thought
I
the
don't
the
like
play
it.
calling was aggressive. I thought there was big plays. I thought there was big plays that made sense, not rolling out to the right and having three verticals on the opposite side of the field like Brian Johnson was putting out there. But I mean, offensively, I thought they looked really good, minus just the turnovers and the bad decision making from Jalen. I was pleasantly surprised by, well, I wouldn't say pleasantly surprised because I knew this was going to happen. Saquon Barkley was as amazing as you thought he
Oof,
would.
oof.
Pleasantly surprised by Mekhi Becton. I know
Yeah.
I was showing criticism before the season started, but boy, man, does Joe Douglas just like kill Howie? Does he just like tormented by his name? He ships over Reddick, who's not going to play for them, and then takes one of Joe Douglas's biggest draft bust and starts him on the line for a late round signing. Like, the Jets are kind of cursed when it comes to Howie and Joe Douglas relations. It sounds like because whenever they interact in any form of the way, free agents or trades, it doesn't seem to be going well for the Jets.
Yeah. That whole Hassan Reddick thing's a nightmare. But I don't know. I think I agree with like yes, it's I like the creativity, but also to keep in mind, and like you said with the Jalen stuff, like it's going to be like this for the next couple weeks. Like they're just testing to see like how defenses respond to the play calling. Jalen needs to get adjusted to calling all plays. Now, we're giving him a lot of criticism, and he's getting a lot of shit from the media. But like realistically, not a lot of quarterbacks played well. Like Deshaun Watson looked horrible. Like not a
Yeah, he
lot of
sucks.
quarterbacks looked great this week, and I
I
mean,
mean,
Jalen's currently fifth in passing yards after week one, and he
well,
had
that doesn't mean
two
anything.
touchdowns or two touchdowns, and
Yeah, but you look at some of the plays. You can't ignore. Obviously, the pick in the end zone was terrible.
no, I'm not.
The what was it? The one he
Well,
took
I was
that
getting to
sack.
it.
It was literally Carson Wentz-esque. He took that sack and knocked him out of field goal range. That was a
Yes.
terrible, terrible. That was literally Carson Wentz all over again. I was watching him. The pick that should have been to Jair Alexander would have lost you the game there.
Well, there
And
was that one, and then
play AJ Brown.
there was another pick on the left side that should have been a pick six for the Packers.
This is what I mean, man. This is why he deserves the
It should have
criticism.
been
There
four
was
interceptions.
if those plays connect, because it wasn't like they made incredible plays. They were horrible decisions by Jalen Hurts, and he got
Mhm.
lucky that they weren't screwed over. Just imagine one or two of them are caught. Not even both of them, but just one or two of them are caught. Completely different game. I don't think the defense can stop them again because at that point the Packers were starting to groove, starting to get in their own. Really, I mean, I was okay with everything. The defensive mistakes, I'm not as worried because they seemed like either rookie mistakes or Gardner Johnson blown coverage or, this and that. I think that can be cleaned up. The Jalen Hurts decision making is a problem. Don't hold on to the ball too long. Don't throw it into a guy's chest when it's never there. I mean, that stuff like that's not necessarily week one stuff. That's like you just need to see the field. You're throwing it to the wrong team.
His
That is a concern.
well, I will say one positive though is that he played really well against the blitz. I think he was like 7 of 9 or 7 of 8 from when pressured by a blitz. So that was a weakness of his last year. So that looks like he improved on that. But yeah, again, I just think it's week one. They're trying to figure it out, the offense. Now, if we're in October and we're still saying Jalen's holding on to the ball too long, what he can't throw in the middle of the field because every throw is interception, then
Yeah.
we're gonna start having a pretty
I
bad
mean, there was a
conversation.
positive,
But
like the last drive. I thought he
he
used his
still won
legs
us the game at the
incredibly.
end,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
mean, don't get well, yeah, he had a nice drive after the near interception. Besides that, man, I would have said he was the biggest reason if we lost, and he wasn't really doing much to help us win. He had a nice final drive after the near interception. His legs kept him alive on drives. He made a lot of big plays with his legs. He controlled the clock. I thought they looked good there, but again, he threw the ball into Jair Alexander's chest. That would have
Yeah.
lost the game
I
right there
think
for them.
I think it is funny though because he and Josh Allen are pretty much the same player where it's like they can win you a game no matter how poorly they play, but like every time they make one mistake, you're like you're so much better than this. Why did you throw the ball there? Or why did you fumble the ball or whatever? Like,
But Jalen, this was never his game. Josh Allen's always been a gunslinger, Brett Favre type, like putting
yeah,
it in there when he never should. Jalen was like very conservative and
he
safe with the
was that
ball.
MVP type season. He had what, 4 picks? So I don't know
Yeah, I
what.
mean, everything went off the rail obviously last year. So, there was more problems than just him. But we're rolling right into the same problems this year. That is a concern. It's just man, I literally thought I was seeing Carson Wentz out there when he took that sack and knocked him out of field goal range. Like that was prime Carson Wentz
Yeah.
type of play.
Oh,
I mean, the nice thing is you got guys like AJ Brown and Saquon Barkley who can just take an offense over, and they kind of did and made those huge plays, which were nice. So I'm hoping taking back some of the responsibility from Hurts. Like Josh Allen he was forever the only guy on his team. He had Diggs, which was nice, but outside that, never had a run game, never had a number two wide receiver. There's so much talent on this offense. You hope Jalen Hurts doesn't get too aggressive and foolish with the ball and decision making. It's going to lose you games.
yeah. Um, but yeah, so Eagles won. Uh, where did the score go? Come back to me. 34-29. Um, so they'll learn, they'll get better. We still came out with a W. But
Didn't feel like
else,
a hollow win like last year. Like it's felt like they actually went and won that game. They didn't get lucky,
well, they beat Mac
which was
Jones
nice.
and the Patriots by like 5 points last home opener 2023. So
And that there was a lot more criticism in that game than there was in this one.
yeah, they beat a playoff team and they didn't play their best. I think that's a lot to look
Well, I mean,
positive
the
on.
Packers definitely didn't play their best either, but it's week one. You'd
Yeah,
expect that. I don't
yeah.
think anyone really played great,
No.
minus maybe the Saints who played a college team. But you ended up winning. And that ultimately is all that
JV
matters. And you
maybe.
beat a good team. Like the Packers are gonna be a team you probably compete with for the number one overall seed. I did pick them as my disappointment, but I'm not gonna lie and say that, it's not realistic to think that they're probably going to be competing with a high seed with us down the road.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. But the season opener was Thursday. So that was Chiefs beat the Ravens 27-20 on a pretty good game. A questionable offensive play calling on the Ravens side. I mean, you have Lamar threw 41 times and Derrick Henry only touched the ball 13 times. I don't
Yeah, I didn't get
understand.
that. I don't understand the plan with that.
No, I mean
What's the point of
Lamar
bringing in a stud running back like that?
Lamar, it was basically the Lamar and Isaiah Likely show. Like Lamar had 122 rushing yards on 16 carries. So he just gave up on every play and just ran.
I
Um,
mean, that's fine and all, but like, yeah, don't get me wrong. Isaiah likely played well, but did Mark Andrews get assassinated? Like, what the hell was he doing? Like, I just felt that offense wasn't focused on using their big time playmakers like Henry and Andrews.
It
And
sure seemed
curious
like,
case, likely
yeah.
played well, so I'm not going to get on him too much, but I just didn't understand why Henry never saw the ball.
Yeah, Mark Andrews really killed my fantasy team this week, but
I think all
um
tight ends did. Really
yeah,
bad week for tight ends.
yeah. But I think it was funny the Chiefs, I mean the Ravens players were like, yeah, on the re like we saw it after the game and his toe was in bounds. I don't know what they were looking at. It was like his toe, you could cut his toe out with a cookie cutter. It was so obviously on the white line. I don't know what they were looking at, but
Yeah,
yeah.
we all wanted it though. We all wanted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's well, the Chiefs win. They look pretty good offensively. The defense,
Oh, they
obviously, I
are.
think the defense had more to do with it last year than winning. This
Yeah.
year, the offense looks like it's ready to go.
I mean, the dropsies are, I mean, I saw at least four drops already from the Chiefs wide receivers, but man, are they fast.
Yeah, I
They're,
mean, the speed of Worthy, you don't have Hollywood Brown out there. Rasheed Rice looked pretty
yeah,
good.
Brown didn't even play. Yeah. So,
Yeah, it's the team looks like they're set.
yeah, they're gonna be scary. What else happened? So, we are recording this on Monday for those listening. So, we don't have the Monday night game yet. So, Jets 49ers is to be played still. By the time you listen to this, that game have already been played, but by the time we are recording, it has not. So, but the other 1 o'clock games, so we had the Saints absolutely trampled the Panthers 47 to 10.
So you
Um,
still think the Panthers are going to win 9 games?
I'm gonna tell you that was a pitiful showcase. That
Yeah, it's rough.
Bryce Young threw his first pass was an interception, and then I think to open the third quarter, his second pass was an interception.
Yeah,
Uh,
man, that was rough.
I'm a little that was I want to see how they bounce back. If they come back now, I don't know who they play next week, but we'll get into that later. But if they get blown out again, then I'm gonna be like pretty quick to flip back off get off that
I
train
mean,
that
the
I
Saints are not necessarily a good team.
they are not a
They
good
got
team.
crushed by
They
the
made Derek
Saints.
Carr look like the MVP. So
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, Bryce Young was awful, but he doesn't play defense.
yeah, what was his let me see what his stats were. He was
It's
13 of
really, I mean,
30 for 161 yards, 2 interceptions.
that's not what you want to see.
What is this? I'd like, what is, did they even have? I feel like they didn't even have the ball in offense because, I mean, he threw it 30 times, but like
The Saints scored 47 points. Where did you think they were going to have the ball?
Miles Sanders touched the ball 5 times. Chuba Hubbard touched the ball 6 times. They like couldn't
Yeah,
get any running going.
they were probably down by 20 in the first quarter. They weren't going to run the ball.
Yeah, let's see. Derek, well, I don't, this is a weird, like stats wise, this game does not look like a 47 to 10 game. Like Derek Carr, 19 of 23 for 200 yards. Alvin
He was
Kamara,
probably also
83
pulled
rushing
by the third
yards.
quarter.
Like it must have all been defense shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a total team collapse when you lose that bad.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna jump off the bandwagon quite yet. But if they get pummeled like that next week or the week after, then yeah, I'm gonna jump ship.
You stick with them.
Um, let's see. Next we had. Why did it jump to preseason? What's going on here? Vikings took care of the Giants, 28 to 6. Man, Saquon Barkley scored more points by himself than the Giants did as a team.
Sam
Uh,
Darnold's kind of looks awesome.
I for a 1 game. He was pretty efficient. But man, the John like Daniel Jones, he the stat is crazy. Since signing his extension, he has thrown more touchdowns to the opposing team than to his own teammates. Like that is mind-blowing.
I mean,
Uh,
that was an awful, awful
all
deal.
that
Like,
all-time worst contract ever.
I mean, I don't know. Speaking of another NFC East quarterback that I think signed a bad deal. I mean, different different waves, different definitions of bad. I mean, Daniel Jones is a terrible player, so he probably shouldn't have gotten an extension in general,
Mhm.
regardless of the price. But I mean, Dak Prescott now being the only player in NFL history to ever make $60 million a year, that's also a terrible signing. I mean, we talked about it. He wins one playoff game per big contract,
Yeah.
and I don't see that changing. He really is the same quarterback for every single thing. I'll never understand. Like he just keeps getting raises for doing nothing, just doing the same thing.
And they kind of dominated the Browns, but they didn't really like look good, like in a weird way.
The
Like
Browns
his
look
numbers weren't that great.
the Browns look worse than well, I mean, the Cowboys defense just ate Deshaun Watson
The
alive. I
Cowboys
thought it
defense looked pretty good, yeah.
was just gonna be great when Michael Parsons is an Eagle.
But we'll get to that game shortly. But yeah, Vikings trounced on the Giants. Two surprise upsets. I mean, first we had the Steelers beat the Falcons 18-10, and then the Patriots won 16-10 over the Bengals. Um,
Hey man, the Patriots may not score any points, but their defense looks legit.
which is
And give
crazy.
credit to Jared Mayo because I don't even know who they have on defense because they
Uh,
just shipped off their best player.
yeah,
And they don't get, well, I mean, like, Higgins didn't play. Jamar Chase has had a foot in the door and foot out the door. Don't know what happens there, but this is part of the thing, man. Off-season nonsense catches up to you. Chase not practicing, the offense looks stale, all the drama. Higgins was hurt, didn't play. I didn't think they would lose to the Patriots. It doesn't look good.
yeah. I mean, the Patriots. I mean, it's kind of crazy that you lose a game and the other team's like receiver that had the most yards only had 31 yards. Like that's
This was a defensive performance, but they managed to pull out a big win no one was expecting. They held the Bengals to nothing on offense.
yeah. I mean, and hey, Flurry's guy, Ramondre Stevenson, 25 carries, 120 yards, touchdown. He looked good.
Not a bad day.
He
I
looked
mean,
good.
me and you, bad weeks for big predictions. You think the Panthers are going to win 9 games? I thought that the Bengals were going to come out and torch the league offensively. Neither of them look really, really good right now.
The Also it was a weird week for like I feel like a lot of quarterbacks like only had like 100 yards. Like it was weird. I mean, it's week
Well,
one's always
it's week
weird, but
one. Yeah.
it was strange. But yeah, that was quite the game. Um yeah, then Justin Fields had like I don't think the Steelers had an offensive touchdown. I think it was all their kicker had.
He did have a big
Um
game. Kickers had a big Sunday.
a lot of
They're
kickers
like,
were booming like 50 plus yard field goals like it was like
I
nothing.
guess kickers are just, they don't really, they're the one position where they don't need to play well, I guess they do play in the preseason. They just do their thing. There's no contract disputes. They just show up and kick. So when week one shows up, they're the only ones not rusty. It was a good week all in all for the kickers.
I mean the Cowboys marched Brandon Aubrey out there to try a 71-yard field goal. I was like,
That's
all
true.
right.
After he drilled a 66, but they called penalty back.
Yeah. But yeah, Chris Boswell on the Steelers literally scored all 18 of the Steelers points. He was 6 for 6 from field goal.
Sounds like a Justin Fields game.
Yeah. And the Falcons didn't really get any offense going. I mean, Kyle Pitts scored a touchdown, so he's alive, but I
The
don't
only
know.
tight end to do it. Who knew?
Um, really good game. Texans and the Colts. Texans won 29-27. Hey, I said it multiple times throughout these episodes and in our running back episode. People don't give Joe Mixon a lot of credit, but he got the rock. He touched the ball
Sure.
30 times, had 159 yards and a touchdown.
It was
So,
definitely a good performance for him.
yeah.
He's in a good role. There's a lot of pass catchers. Stroud's obviously the next hot thing. I think a good running game was everything they need. I mean, they had Singletary last year who was okay, but Mixon is a true game changer. Now, when it comes to excitement, and I'm not gonna lie, the Colts are giving me sneaky Vikings vibe. Like when it comes to just pure entertainment,
Hmm.
because Anthony Richardson just knows how to throw the ball 60 yards downfield or run and get trucked or truck someone. The guy is taking some big hits. I don't know if he's going to withstand the season, but he's fun to watch.
Yeah, he that throw he had where he was like kind of off balance and just slingshot the ball. That was one of like the most insane throws I've ever like it was the most effortless 60-yard bomb I've ever seen in my life. Like he just like it's like
It
he
was
was skipping
incredible.
fucking rocks. I don't know. It was nuts.
I don't think I saw him attempt a pass that was less than 15 yards downfield.
He
It felt
was
like everything leaving in his
slinging
hand
it.
was 40 yards down the field at least. And if it wasn't, he was just running. He's like, oh, no one's open. They took 40 yards downfield. I'll just run.
Um, good, somewhat good opener for Stephon Diggs. I mean, very reminiscent of when I forget what game it was, but
And he
Travis
caught two
Kelsey.
touchdown passes.
Yeah, I remember one game, I think last year, Travis Kelsey had like three catches and they were all touchdowns. But Stephon Diggs, six catches for 33 yards, but he had two touchdowns. So
It
good
helps.
good start for him. And yeah, I mean, you would like to see more from Jonathan Taylor. I mean, 48 rushing yards on a 3.0 average is not great, but um we'll see what they end up doing. But yeah, cool. That'll be a fun division to watch. Um and then we had Cardinals and the Bills, a surprisingly fun game as well. Cardinals
Yeah,
played
yeah, Josh
well.
Allen, man.
I'll give him. You know what? Maybe
Josh Allen put the team on his shoulders.
he did that dive he had into the end zone on his second touchdown where he like just gave up all body and limb. He just I'm getting in that end zone.
Classic Josh Allen.
It was like I saw a picture of I don't know what the character's name is from The Simpsons, but it's where he like jumps through the window and the caption was like James Cook's like, "Hey Josh, we're on the 1 yard line. You should hand the ball off to me." And Josh Allen just diving through the. I was like, "That's
He
pretty much what happened."
he's just gonna be and this year, now that like Diggs is gone, he's just gonna be more reckless because
Yeah, oh
he's just gonna
yeah,
be the whole offense. He doesn't have to worry about Diggs bitching and moaning that he doesn't get targets. Josh Allen can just run through windows if he wants. No one will complain. It's just Josh Allen's show.
yeah,
Since we're on the Bills and Cardinals game, I
yes.
do want to double check in one thing, obviously, big storyline. Since they were the first team in NFL history to score a touchdown return on the new return rules, and shout out the Eagles because we're the first team in NFL history to get a penalty with the new kickoff rules. I've seen it on the whole first week, and I got to be honest, I think these kickoff rules are so stupid. I don't like, I get it. They're trying to bring more, more returns and make something, but if I'm a team kicking, I'm kicking it through the end zone every single time. I didn't see any realistic time when they weren't returning it to the 30 yard at least.
Yeah,
It seems like it's set up very well for the returning team to where the point, like if I'm kicking, like I'm not even giving them a chance. I know we've moved it up to the 30-yard line of touchbacks, and it was 25 before that, 20 ages ago now, it feels like. But it just seems like it's just very difficult to defend it. Like I don't understand why you wouldn't even kick it through the end zone.
yeah. I think we saw what just the one um kick return touchdown, but
Yeah. Well, everyone from most games I saw, they were kind of all just kicking it through the end zone. I didn't see many returns.
yeah, I don't like it. We'll have to see how it goes the rest of the year, but yeah, I don't see why there wouldn't be like I don't see
Like I
how this
wouldn't
is
want the
gonna spur
Eagles.
more returns. This
I
is
wouldn't
the
want
whole
the
point.
Eagles ever to kick in the lane. And then one of the teams, I forget who it was, they kicked it short of the landing zone, and then there was like a penalty, and they got the ball on the 40. Like,
Yeah.
where is the benefit in this? Like, there's no return that's not going to the 30 at least. You might as well just kick it through the end zone.
Yeah, this is very much a test. I'm curious to see if it doesn't work well, that if they just scrap it for next season, but
I think you
well,
just go back to. I think the there's just no way to make that play exciting and safe. Is really what it comes down to.
yeah, but I don't know. Disappointing game for my boy Marvin Harrison Jr. One catch for 4 yards. Um
I mean, you're the best thing since sliced bread. They're everyone else watches drafts and all that. They know who you are. They're treating you as the number one receiver right away.
yeah, I mean well, I saw him like wide open a couple times and um Kyler just didn't see him. So
I mean, when the offense is built around your rookie wide receiver, a guy like Sean McDermott knows that. Everyone in the NFL knows that. They're gonna circle him.
in what may be the biggest how the hell did they score 24 and 17 points each in a game? The Bears and the Titans quarterbacks both threw for less than 130 yards. So um really bad game for Caleb Williams. I know he's a rookie, it's his first game, a lot of pressure, but man, you throw 14 completions and you had 93 yards. I feel like I could have done that. Like that's
You
not
definitely couldn't have done it.
eh,
Literally no chance.
just
I
throw a couple
mean,
slants.
he's the first number one overall pick to win his opener since what was it, 2002 or whatever.
Really?
Ironically, I think David Carr was the last one to do it, or
Wow.
Derek Carr. No, David Carr.
Well, I mean, he shouldn't have won because Will Levis literally put this game on a platter for the Bears and just threw a game-winning pick six for no reason.
It's it's kind of how it goes. Young quarterbacks do these things.
Um, did you see the video of him literally like on fall to his knees after throwing the pick?
What, Levis? No.
Yeah. So he was getting like pressured, so he was falling and he threw it, and that's what caused the interception. But he like sat up and just like stayed on the ground. But he's like on his knees with his like hands on his head, and it's like getting memed, and everyone's like, Will Levis gave us the meme of the season already, week one. But besides like in putting mayonnaise in his coffee, now he just decides to give up on interception returns and just sits on the ground on his knees. But
Hey, man, it's a bold practice, but do what you got to do.
I mean, I guess so. But yeah, so Caleb, I think will get better, but yeah, that's pretty rough. Um, ugly game. We had the Dolphins beat the Jags. This was upsetting. I thought the Jags had this game, and then the Dolphins snuck back in. Tyreek
It's like
Hill,
classic Jags, though.
yeah,
They keep doing this.
vintage Jaguars.
They can't get out of their own way.
Yeah. Tyreek Hill got arrested before this game started. So that was pretty wild. He was apparently speeding, and he got pulled over like a block from the stadium. Uh, I guess there was an altercation, and he got put in handcuffs and was on the floor on the pavement. So
Wow, the whole wild thing.
this
You know
is
what
a
I learned in this
whole.
whole escapade? I learned that Calais Campbell apparently is on the Dolphins because he also got detained when he saw Tyreek Hill on the side of the
That's how you
roadway.
found out he was on the Dolphins because he got
They
detained.
were, yeah, they were like interviewing them. I was like, why is Calais Campbell getting interviewed about Tyreek Hill? And they said, oh, he got detained when he was trying to help out.
Of his
Apparently, his
teammate.
teammates. I
So
did
you
not know that.
so you don't know Calais Campbell is on the team, but you keep thinking that Xavier Howard is. You got your Dolphins mixed up, man.
Well, listen, I learned that Calais. I thought he was retired. To be honest, I had no idea he was still
I mean,
playing.
I was when I saw the game highlights and I saw him, I was like, when did he get there? But
He definitely because I think they were saying that they didn't realize it was Tyreek Hill when Calais Campbell, who's like what 6'8", shows up and you're like, he's trying to help. Like that's my boy. Let me help out. You're like thinking, wow, who is this guy? Like this guy coming to find him. He must be someone.
yeah, it was weird, and they already put like the one cop on a like leave of absence, so I don't. It's
It's an ugly
strange.
situation,
Yeah,
but yeah, we'll
but
see where it goes.
but Tyreek caught a 80-yard touchdown and then celebrated by putting his hands behind his back and having Jaylen Waddle walk him out. So
Hilarious.
might as well take advantage of it. But that was I mean, Tua had a good game, 38 yards. T-Law only 162 again, a weird game for some of these. But you didn't have Cartavius Bigsby having 73 rushing yards on your bingo card, did you?
I did not. I did not. Not very good at bingo though.
No, I bet. Your UCF alum, great. Gabe Davis had 62 yards on three catches. Number zero looks weird on him though. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, it's all the same. The Jags jersey is gonna look weird. Take some time.
Yeah, but that game was a good game. Jags still can't close out. Um, Elsewhere, Seattle beat Denver 26-20. Another quarterback, I mean, both these quarterbacks under 200 yards. Gino with 171, Bo Nix 138, two interceptions. The one he
Yeah,
threw
Bo
was
Nix
was
didn't look great.
horrible.
Yeah, he did not look great at all. I know he's a rookie, but he's also like what, like 24? Like he's not a young rookie. And I
Yeah.
feel like the whole point of them wanting him was he's accurate, he's smart, he knows what he's doing. Didn't see a lot of that in week one.
No. It was, I mean, he led the team in passing and rushing. So that's never a good sign. And Josh Reynolds had 45 receiving yards as your leader. Not good for the Broncos, but Kenneth Walker looked good. 20 carries, 103 yards, and a tutty. And Tyler
Yeah,
Lockett, Mr. Consistent, 6 catches, 77 yards. So
keeps doing it.
Seattle will be competitive. I don't know if they're going to be.
They're my
They'll,
sneaky
they'll
team.
they'll push for a wild card, but um,
Defensively, I mean, I know they play Bo Nix, but defensively, Mike McDonald's already making his impact.
Raiders and Chargers. Chargers won 22-10, and probably one of the most questionable decisions of the weekend. It was like 4th and 1 at like the 50, and with like 4 minutes left, and they were down a score. And the Raiders coach decided he didn't want to go for it, and they punted, and then the Chargers scored and basically ended the game. So,
Questionable calls.
yes, Gardner Minshew looked okay, 25-33, 257 yards and a touchdown, but also threw a pick. But Herbert, 17 completions for only 144 yards and 1 touchdown. He didn't have to do much though.
I They won. Brandon Staley had no culture of winning. Give Harbaugh credit. I still don't think the Chargers are very good.
J.K. Dobbins, 10 carries, 135 yards.
Balling out.
Yeah. Then we had the Bucks beat the Commanders 37-20. I mean, man, the Browns are probably looking back at like, damn, maybe we should have kept Baker Mayfield after he won us that playoff game a couple years ago and not, spend our life savings on
To be
Deshaun
honest,
Watson.
as
But
bad as Deshaun Watson's going on, they could have probably said, "Man, we should have signed Sam Darnold in free agency. We should have drafted Bryce Young." Anything would have been better than this.
yeah, but I mean, 24 for 30, 289 yards and 4 touchdowns, no turnovers. That's pretty
Hey, the
good
Bucks have
play.
we kind of thought we said the Bucks we didn't feel like got better or didn't get worse. They definitely looked on like the positive side of what they were performing last year. I was impressed. I mean, they looked like they're a playoff veteran
They're
team.
they're a very like veteran scrappy team that no one likes to give credit to, including myself. But they win games, they play hard. But I liked what I saw. I mean, as an Eagles fan saying this, I liked what I saw out of Jane Daniels. I think he looked pretty fluid. I mean, 17 for 24, that's a pretty good conversion. 184 yards is not, crazy, but he rushed for 88 yards as well. Basically was the only player doing anything on that team. Austin Eckler's still alive. He had
Yeah,
a
he's still
couple of
alive. Yeah.
yards, but
He did a thing. He showed up.
I think Jane Daniels is going to progress pretty well. These rookies are going to be very interesting to watch as the season goes on. There's a lot of what we got three or four rookie quarterbacks starting. So
Yeah, yeah, three right
Nick
now, and then
Bo
obviously Penix
Nix.
and Drake May on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, if Kirk Cousins doesn't play well the next couple weeks, maybe we get a change.
Absolutely
But
not.
and then the last two games we had the Cowboys beat the Browns 33-17. Sean Watson threw I'm sorry, this is too funny. He threw 45 pass attempts, only had
Mm.
169 yards and 2 interceptions with 1 touchdown.
Yes, that was rough.
So he
Didn't
had
even
a
you can't even put in the stats of all the times he held on the ball too long, got sacked.
Yeah, I mean, Prescott wasn't phenomenal either. 19 of 32, 179 yards and 1 touchdown.
But
Um,
I mean, can you say he had a bad day? He just signed a
wasn't
contract for
bad.
60 million a
It
year.
was bad, but it wasn't worth that contract. Like, I thought he would have led up the
Oh,
scoreboard.
it was never going to be worth the contract, but it's all
Yeah.
right. Jerry
I mean, the
keeps
Browns,
doing Jerry.
keep in mind, the Browns have a really good defense too. So, Zeke
Jerry
had,
is the ultimate procrastinator. He's like the most successful procrastinator I think the world has ever seen. Like
Mhm.
he loves to push everything until the last possible second, and it never really works out for him. He just ends up overpaying for players when had he just done it at any time in the future, it probably would have went well for him.
Yeah. Um, this game is gives me +1 point in my AJ Brown versus CeeDee Lamb debate. CeeDee Lamb 5 catches, 61 yards, and I think AJ had what 112 and a touchdown or something. But
Yeah. Have your moment.
and then the last game on Sunday, we had the really good game. Lions and the Rams went back and forth for a bit. I think the Lions were up, I think, two scores maybe, or somebody, I forget who was up. but then one of the teams came, I think the Rams came back at the end. Then they went to overtime, and then the Lions ended up winning in overtime. Matt Stafford 0-2 in his returns to Detroit, kind of surprising.
He got a good amount of boo birds when he
He,
came out there.
he threw the ball 49 times, but he had 34 completions for 300 yards. So I mean, um, but yeah,
I'm
it was.
surprised how like little love there is for Stafford. I don't know if it's just they've just adopted.
I guess he
Um,
soured on them, maybe. I don't know.
I guess they just adopted to what's his face? Jared Goff so quickly.
I don't know. But your future number one running back in our rankings finished with a 2.8 yards per carry average. Kyron Williams, 18 carries, 50 yards. So not a great start for him either. I mean, they had a lot of line injuries too, it looked like, but um,
Yeah,
they
I
still they
mean,
still went into overtime, so they kept it. And Puka got hurt. Cooper Kupp had 14 catches, which I think is ties his career high. But
yeah, Cooper Kupp reminded everyone that he's still a guy.
yeah,
Don't
he
let
is
that
very
Puka
much
nonsense
still a
get in his
guy.
way.
Um, but yeah, it's a good game. And like I said, the still have Monday Night Football later, but we are recording before that. So, any final thoughts on that week before we jump into our power rankings and all that? Are we bringing back studs and duds?
It's a stupid question. What do you mean? Obviously.
Well, go ahead. The floor is yours then.
Alrighty. Well, we in a good mood or bad mood?
The Eagles won, so I would say in a good mood.
Good mood? That's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair. Well, it's funny that I ask you that because my first stud is a guy that when he started his day was probably in a very bad mood, but then ended
Mhm.
up in a very good mood by the time that the day ended. And I gotta be honest, the first stud and duds was very tough. Joe Mixon did not make it this week. I really wanted to put him in there, but I just couldn't find a spot for him.
Damn.
Because yeah, listen, Mixon, he had a good game, but he was in a good situation. These two players coming up had to really work through some adversity. I mean, Tyreek Hill's got to be the first player ever to get arrested in the same day that he suits up and plays. So that's pretty impressive in itself. The fact that he went for 7 catches, 130 in a tutty in a win and had one of the greatest celebrations ever makes it even better. But I mean,
Yeah.
realistically, guy got arrested and ended up playing in the football game the same day. That's pretty impressive, if I must say so. Stud-like behavior.
Hmm.
My next guy, this is another guy, battled through adversity. And you know what? Dakota, if you had a torn Achilles, a torn ACL, would you just give up on walking? Would you just be forever in a wheelchair? Or are you a cane kind of guy?
I'd probably try my best to use the cane and try to walk again.
So here he goes. Would you be crutches or cane? You're gonna be like a pimp cane, have a little, the diamond on top? Or
I
would you have
mean,
like one of the Lucius Malfoy kind of like snake handle canes?
I feel like if I got like a really cool cane, like I'd be like you said, like thugging. But yeah, them crutches, man, you can get some fucking like you can get some motion going.
You
You can
get some
get,
speed on it.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
absolutely.
Plus you get a good amount of sympathy. I don't
Where,
think you get the
where,
sympathy with the cane.
where is this going?
Because my man J.K. Dobbins, after
Oh,
losing pretty much his entire knee twice,
yeah.
came back, man. They literally tore his Achilles, tore his ACL, and the first game back with his new team
Hmm.
goes for 10 carries and 135 yards for a tutty. That is, I mean, hats off to him. Give him a little crown, clapping a round of applause for if you're actually walking still. And I'll be honest, the 135 was impressive, but I was watching a couple of carries. Man, if he just had a little bit more speed, those were big touchdowns. But you could just see he doesn't have it. He could not break away from the second wind. But dude looked amazing. I like very impressive, especially everything he's been through. So hats off to J.K. Dobbins. Him and Tyreek Hill battled through some adversity to get on the studs list. And then number
They did.
one, call me a homer. I don't care. He lived up to the high expectations everyone, including me, have put on him. He's going to be the offensive player of the year. He may be the MVP. This guy is just, this was so money. I should have put my mortgage that I don't have on him being incredible because he went 109 yards rushing, add 2 touchdowns, and then give him another touchdown through the air in his opening debut for the Philadelphia Eagles, the team he wanted so badly. Left the Giants, scored more touchdowns than the entire Giants team together. And you know what? Everyone was just roasting Sean, the GM for the Giants, because of how foolish they were. He's going to get fired. He's going to get the Robinson treatment that they gave in Tennessee for trading AJ Brown and then him torching them. When Barkley goes for 6 touchdowns against the Giants, I guarantee you Sean gets fired the next day. But lived up to the very lofty expectations I think we all set, and I'm very excited to see where it goes from here. So, homer or not, number one stud is Saquon Barkley this week.
I mean, if you're a non-quarterback getting 3 touchdowns, you belong on the stud list for sure.
I agree. I agree.
So, I'm glad we started the season with a Eagles player on the stud list and not the dud list.
Look at the diversity. We had an Eagles player, we had a guy that was arrested the same day, and we
Mm.
had a guy who I don't think he has working knees, but still managed to go for 135 yards.
It's
So
it's
this
just
is
it's
why
just
Mixon didn't make it. These
it's
things
just
happen.
air in his
Yeah.
knee. All right, let's get the duds.
Moving on. This is one of the funnier duds I think I've ever had on our list because it was almost comical at some points.
Okay.
Like we all saw the NFL change the rules, and now they take away the illegal formation or the tackles lining up because at some points it looked like a flock of geese. They would fly in a big V. Those offensive linemen, man, you'd see a tackle 4 yards off the line of scrimmage. And in an odd move, they changed the rule to help the defensive players. In a
Hmm.
in a game where they're just constantly trying to add offense, I think it really helps the edge rushers to put those tackles closer to the line of scrimmage for them to get around. But some players, struggled with it. No one struggled with it more than Ronnie Staley. I mean, Ronnie Staley was called for 3 illegal formations. At some point, it was like just comical. They were like picking on the poor guy.
Yeah, it was
I
bad.
get it. Some players, I know Lane got called once. I saw a couple other ones, but like this guy got called 3 times in one game. And it was just like the same thing over and over and over again. It was almost ridiculous every time you see him call it, and you just knew who they were calling, and he knew why they were calling it.
I don't get it because it's
So,
like when the receivers line up, they check with the ref and the ref like lets them know. So like, are linemen not checking
no,
with
man, they
the?
got to be. You don't see them 2 yards. Man, you ever see them? They're literally like a flock of geese in a V when they used to. Now they have to like be up front. It's like the I formation. There's no 2 steps back. It's really going to help edge rushers now. They're going to just get the speed guys are going to eat that they can get around these big guys because they'll have them 2 yards closer to the line of scrimmage than they were before. But Ronnie Stanley has got some time to learn the rules because he clearly doesn't know them. Moving on. We gotta address your 9-win Carolina Panthers, obviously in
Hmm.
some capacity on the dud list.
Hmm.
And don't get me wrong, Bryce Young was awful, but
Was.
Bryce Young didn't give up 47 points. But this is a whole team effort of disappointment. And unfortunately, I don't think Dave Canellis will ever forget his first game as an NFL head coach because this is one of the biggest ass kickings you've ever seen. And no one thought the Panthers besides you were going to be good this year. So I can't say, we were surprised that they lost to the Saints in the fashion that they lost to the Saints. That's a little more concerning. So Dave Canales, unfortunately, when you lose 47-10 in your first game as a head coach, that's a tough one to get over. So you've made yourself on the dud list.
That
And
game
then
was bad. Yeah.
and then the final one. Like I said, I mean, no one besides you thought the Panthers were going to be good. Bryce Young, obviously, no one had high expectations for Bryce Young. We all kind of still think he stinks. We've seen some bad quarterback performances this week.
Oh, I
Daniel
know where this
Jones,
is going.
again,
Oh,
no one
okay.
no one thinks Daniel Jones is any good. So that's why, none of us are shocked by that. But you know who we do think is supposed to be good? We do
Hmm.
think Deshaun Watson should be good. And Deshaun Watson is awful. He is so bad. It's not the injuries, it's not the rust from the suspensions. He's just terrible. He is a bad football player. And this will go down easily as the worst trade in NFL history because I mean, unlike Russell Wilson and some of these quarterbacks you see now getting moved, the Carson Wentzes of the world who have big contracts and they eat the money and get rid of him, he's not going anywhere. They can't get rid of him. The guy was awful. 24-45. It's a 50% completion. He had 6 sacks. A lot of them were him holding the ball way too long.
He was just running
Two
around like an
interceptions.
idiot.
Oh man, he was brutal. His stats don't do him justice. He fumbled the ball. He had 3 turnovers. Nothing he did looked anything like I felt like I was watching Daniel Jones or Bryce Young out there. But again, we know that they stink. Deshaun Watson, the Browns have to convince us that he's worth 240 fully guaranteed. I'd be very much concerned if I'm a Cleveland fan because I don't see this one aging any better than it already has. So number one dud, and I feel like we're going to see him again on this list a couple more times. We're going to Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I think the stat was that he attempted, I think 15, was it? He was 0 for 15 on like yard passes over like 10 yards. Like that's actually insane. But yeah. Um I will say, I mean, I know I have some questionable takes here and there, but
No understatement.
last year in our quarterback episode or top 10 quarterbacks, I had him at number 10 because I said he's finally going to be able to play and he's had a lot of time to rehab and all this and that. And then he came out and he looked horrible and he got hurt. And I was like, I'm not going to be a fool and put him on the list this time. He didn't even sniff the honorable mentions. He didn't sniff the top 30. And boy, does he
He's
look
terrible.
like a train wreck. Like he looks, someone was like, this is not the same man that went on that massage table. Like
No, no, everything's
it's
changed.
a, he died that day on the massage table and they replaced him with somebody else. But
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, I know he's been suspended and he's got the whole thing going on in his life and the injuries, but he just doesn't look like he has any clue on what he's doing.
I feel like if you don't play for like almost what 3 years, like it kind of creeps up on you. But yeah, he went from being very Lamar Jackson-esque, where it's like a lot of things you liked about him, a lot of things you thought were like questionable, but at the end of the day, he was like an elite athlete. Um, he just isn't because I remember when he was with the Texans, even I was like, sure, he's a good quarterback, but he can't win in the playoffs, this and that. And he's never been able to like get them over the hump. But now it's just he's not even a shell of what he used to look like.
No,
So
he's terrible.
Browns are in deep doo-doo, and we might see Jameis Winston playing sooner than we think. So, but all right, those are your studs and duds. Um, so we go right into our. I think it's too early for a too much whiz segment, so we're gonna say that for
Oh,
next. We got
teasing the people.
we gotta save it for it's week one. You can't make
I mean, I
any
brought my studs and duds, so
well
I can't
that's
relate.
pen and paper. Those are proven numbers, but you know.
I don't know. There's a lot more creativity that goes into just pen and paper.
But we'll start off with our let's do our power rankings. So let's
Can't
see.
imagine there's much change there besides the Bengals.
Yeah. Pull it up real quick.
No one really made me think that they were better than what I had already thought they were.
Yeah, I mean Chiefs, well, all right, we got to drop the Ravens probably a little bit.
I mean, do
Um,
we have to? They lost to the Chiefs, and it was a close game. I mean, the Chiefs are our number one team. I'd be okay with leaving them there. I'm telling you, minus the Bengals, I feel fine about every other team.
so we originally we had the Chiefs at 1, Ravens at 2, Eagles at 3, 49ers at 4, Lions at 5. So I top 5 I'd probably leave alone. Yeah. Bengals at 6, Rams at 7, Texans at 8, Cowboys at 9, Bills at 10.
I would kick the Bengals out of the top 10.
Whoa. Who we putting in?
Did you? That's a tough one. I mean, who are you buying into? Like, who caught your eye this week?
I mean, the Saints caught my eye, but I don't think they're gonna be
The
good the
Saints
rest of
made
the
a good
year.
point. The Saints did make a
Uh,
good point. Uh,
um,
the- and the Steelers beat the
Probably
Falcons.
Dolphins.
Dolphins. Yeah, I like the Dolphins. I'm high on the Dolphins.
Uh, or maybe I mean, the Bucks looked pretty decent.
Nah, no, give me the Dolphins. The Bucks would be number 11.
All right, so were the Dolphins at 10,
Yeah, that's fine. Bump everyone up.
and then Bills at 9, Cowboys at 8.
Yeah, I can live with that.
What about the Rams? They lost.
Yeah, but they didn't look bad. It was you could tell the injuries were just getting out of control for them. If you want to put them at nine, that's
I
fine.
say what'd you say?
Put them at nine because they
Yeah, I was gonna
lost.
say I think the Texans should move up a spot. They looked really good. Um, all right, we'll put Rams at 9, Dolphins at 10, Bills at 8. Why is this not working? Cowboys at 7, and Texans at 6. I like that. All right. And then we get to our game picks for next week.
Okay.
So far through 15 games, I am sitting at 7-8. Not too happy about that. I took a couple gambles. Tim, you're at 9-6, and Nick, who did our week one guest picks, at 10-5. So our streak of beating the guest picks every year is already being threatened. So we got
Oh,
to be
well, hold on.
careful.
Speak for yourself. I could, I'm looking okay. That's what happens when you tie
Um,
your wagon to the Panthers.
Shut up. All right, so we have Bobby is doing guest picks. So Bobby does our NFL draft episode and did some of our award predictions. So we'll start off with pull these games up. We got Thursday. We're already doing Thursday football again. I thought it started later, like in October, but
We just
um,
did Thursday night football in week one.
yeah, but we always have a home opener. Remember the season opener on a Thursday. I didn't know we got regular Thursdays that soon, but um, Buffalo at Miami. Bobby is taking the Dolphins. Who do you like?
Yeah, it's still pretty early in the season, so I feel like having the home field is pretty big. I'm gonna go with Miami. I mean, I thought Miami's gonna be pretty good this year, so I'm not gonna turn on my back on them now.
I'm gonna have to ride with my MVP. I'm gonna go with the Bills. Um, I think they looked good. They definitely had some stuff to clean up, but I think I was more impressed with their even though they played the Cardinals, they came back. Well, so did the Dolphins. It's a toss up. Both are good teams. Both will be fighting for playoffs. Next game we have the Raiders at the Ravens. I don't imagine the Ravens drop
Yeah, this is
back-to-back
this is a
games.
patent get right game.
So I'll take Baltimore. Bobby's taking Baltimore. I'm guessing you're taking Baltimore.
Yeah.
All right. The next game we have the Chargers at the Panthers. Bobby's taking the Panthers. Who do you like? I don't know if
You're seriously taking the Panthers? There's absolutely no way. I'm not falling for that trap. You can go take the Panthers because you have them winning 9 games, so you're gonna need them to win something. I'll
I
take the
might I
Chargers.
might have to take the Panthers out of just responsibility here.
If listen, the Saints and Chargers are hardly murderers row of games. If you think they're winning 9 games, they got to at least win one of those.
Yeah, so I guess I'll go Carolina here, and then if they lose, I'm jumping off the ship. Um, the next game we have is the Saints at the Cowboys. Do we buy into the Saints' explosive offense?
Absolutely not. I think Michael Parsons probably eats Derek Carr. The Cowboys are winning.
Yeah, as much as I'd like to see the Saints repeat the same recipe from last week, I agree. I think Dallas wins this one. Bobby has the Saints. So bold picks, Panthers and Saints so far for Bobby.
Try opposite ends of the spectrum. He's thinking the Panthers, maybe it's just one off. They look rusty in week one, and then thinks that the Saints, I don't know, are going to carry it through, that they're not, one hit wonder.
I don't know what the thought process is, but uh the next game we have the Colts at the Packers. Oh, well, no Jordan Love. I think
Yeah,
Malik
Jordan
Willis is
Love.
playing. He didn't even know
Oh
how to
God, yeah, he
he
can't even
didn't even know
throw
how to
any
throw the
deep ball.
football.
I'm
Um,
taking Mr. 50 yards downfield or rushing touchdown, Anthony Richardson.
yeah, I'm taking Indianapolis. So is Bobby. Um, what do we got next? We have Cleveland at the Jaguars. Oof.
You know what? I just can't see Cleveland beating a good team. I don't know if the Jaguars are borderline good team, but man, Deshaun Watson looks so bad. I'm not getting on that ship until I see him look like a competent quarterback.
I think we're gonna get the same Watson that played last week, and the Jags played the Jags, I think, were the better team for most of that game against Miami, and then they kind of let Miami get back in the second half. But I'll take Jacksonville at home. Um, Bobby's also taking Jacksonville. The next game we have is San Francisco at Minnesota. Bobby's taking San Fran. I'm also going to take San Fran. I'm not going to play any games here.
Well, I did pick the Jets, and I saw him still taking the Jets to beat the Niners, so then they're going to need a get right game. I'll take the Niners.
All right. Then we have the Seahawks at the Patriots. Do the Patriots continue their magic?
I'm riding with Patriots, man. The Seahawks, I like the Seahawks. I'm living with them, but defense the Patriots are throwing out there. I think they're a tough play early in the season when people are still trying to work out their offenses. The offense comes around slowly. You're waiting on a new system. Quarterback's getting his reads, new coach. I'm going to say the Patriots go out there and play some good defense and win a low scoring game.
Yeah, I think Seattle's going to win this, and so does Bobby. So, next game is the Jets at the Titans. Bobby has the Jets. I think I saw enough of Mayonnaise Will Levis to know that he's not good. So I'm going to take the
Yeah, the
Jets.
Titans don't seem like a good team. I'll take the Jets.
Uh, well, next game we have is the Giants at the Commanders. I liked what I saw in
Oh.
Jaden Daniels, and I did not like what I saw in Daniel Jones. So I will take Washington.
Yeah, I mean, you can lose by a lot and be different scenarios. So the Commanders lost by a lot, but I think overall you're feeling optimistic still with the season. The Giants lost by a lot, but you want to jump in front of a car if you're a Giants fan because your season's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I'll
Um,
take the Commanders.
yeah, Bobby's also riding the Commanders. Rams at the Cardinals. Man, I I liked what I saw from the Cardinals in the first half, but then they just ran out of gas and let obviously the Bills come back and win. But I don't see the Rams going 0-2, so I'm gonna have to go with the Rams.
I don't either because I mean they had a ton of injuries. Their offensive line's depleted. Puka's
That
obviously
could be a
out.
reason to pick Cardinals though.
Well, I mean, the point being that they went to overtime with the Lions. I mean, they went neck to neck with the Lions. The Lions are much better than the Cardinals.
Hmm.
Assuming they can get an offensive lineman or two back, I think they beat the Cardinals.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm taking Rams. Bobby's taking the Rams. We have Steelers at the Broncos. Oof, another toilet bowl game for you. Bobby's taking the
Does Russell Wilson
Steelers.
play?
No,
I think, I mean, TJ Watt was just
a
took over that
menace.
entire game. TJ
Yeah.
Watt and Chris Boswell just won the game. Bo Nix, I think, is in for a rough day. I'm going to take the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna put the Steelers at 2-0 now. Not looking good for our prediction that he's gonna go under 500, but
Well, I mean, they're beating the Broncos, and who did they just beat? The Falcons. I mean,
yeah,
these aren't necessarily the toughest games that we thought they were going to lose.
fair. Bobby's taking the Steelers as well, and then we have the Bengals at the Chiefs. He's taking the Chiefs. This is
I
tough.
think, is it?
I I think you know what? I'm gonna go KC, but I this doesn't surprise me because I think the Bengals started slow the year they made it to the Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. I think they went 0-2, but
See, I think the Chiefs need a get right game, and I probably would be on board with them getting a get right game in the week two.
the
But
Chiefs
you
they
don't get
won.
right games against. I'm sorry, the Bengals.
Oh,
You don't get right games against the Chiefs. They are not your get right team.
yeah.
I'll take the Chiefs.
All right. Bears at the Texans. Bobby's taking Houston. I'm gonna take Houston. Bears aren't ready.
Houston look good. I'll take Houston.
Yeah. And then our Monday night, the NFL hates us Eagles fans and wants us to suffer on nights or night games instead of Sunday 1 o'clock games. But Eagles will host the Atlanta Falcons for our home opener Monday night, and go Eagles! Fly, Eagles, fly!
Go Birds. Isn't Kirk Cousins like just horrendous on night games?
Historically, for whatever reason, he when he was with the Vikings, he played the Vikings always play the Eagles on Monday night, and we pretty much won every time. And yeah, he always throws like a bad interception to like seal the game.
Yeah, it's not going to change. Plus, they're retiring Nick Foles that game. So there is
They're
the
what?
aura, and they're retiring Nick Foles.
They're retiring his jersey?
Well, they're having his ceremony. I don't think they're retiring him, but they're putting him in the Hall of Fame, or they're doing it. It's Nick Foles night. Where have you been? How do I know this in London? You don't.
Nick Foles night?
Yeah, this guy. What was you? Are you cued in?
What do you mean Nick Foles? I mean, yes, he won us the Super Bowl, but he's not retired. I'm not hanging
He,
his jersey in the rafters.
I would make an argument that they probably should. He just won us a Super Bowl. Like you're just acting like he just
He's got
went
a
out there and won a
statue. What
game.
more do you want?
to retire his number. I mean, they're not going to retire his number, but they are definitely having a celebration this on Monday Night Football for Nick Foles.
Celebration Monday. We're at that time. Uh oh, he's retiring. Oh, well, okay, that's
That's
different.
literally what I said. I said retiring Nick Foles.
Shut up. Yeah, I thought you meant retiring his number. So I was like confused, but
Well, yeah,
anyways, so that's our wrap on a wild week one. Um Look forward to seeing what happens with the Monday night game and Eagles coming off of Brazil going to back home to face the Falcons. So fly Eagles fly, baby.
go Birds.
Peace.